So as you can tell, there are a number of layers here. Layers are an important part of what I do. And I learned layers in Photoshop. Layers are basically a computerized clear plastic layer on top of another layer, on top of another layer. And you can color them and work with them as separate paintings. And then decide whether you want to have them overlay each other or not. So in this case, we were doing 4 pieces, 4 separate paintings. And so I drew lines to separate it, but I don't want those lines there anymore. So I'm going to go over to that, on that layer, I'm going to take it off. And it becomes a whole painting.
So Pat, you still have the layer. It's just not part of the.
It's just not visible. So I can go back and put it back on again. Now, one of the fun things about Procreate is it lets you pick a brush in the eraser. So anyway, to get a color, up in the upper right corner, you can see I have already picked an olive green, and that's pretty yucky, but I'm going to take that anyway. And I'm going to tell this computer to fill this layer. So now, basically that transparency has been colored the green that I asked it to do. So one of the things that I like to do is erase on these guys. So I'm going to go to the eraser and pick a brush. So let's see what I have. What do I have? Okay, let's pick Wasteland. So anyway, I'm going to go back to my piece and I'm going to erase using that Wasteland. I am there. See what's happening? We're seeing underneath what's there. Now I can raise right now, the opacity is 100%. I can take it down to nothing, to less opacity, and we get a lesser amount. And it'll be more obvious when we do some painting with it. And then I'm going to raise the size of the brush and let it erase a little bit more. I don't want to erase everything. In fact, right now I'm going to reverse that one because I think it took too much away. So over in the lower left-hand corner, you can see there's this reverse arrow, and I'm going to press that and it's going to reverse what I just did. And I'm going to take the size of the brush back down to smaller and do it over here. Needed something to balance. Anyway, now the other joy I find with this machine is that it lets you do blends. Now, there are a number of manual controls on this, and it lets you squeeze. So I'm going to use 2 fingers and squeeze my painting down so I can see the whole thing. And then I'm going to go over to my layers and click on the little N over in the right-hand side. That's where the blend modes are. Blend modes are a very powerful tool. So I'll take this and go through and pick a different blend mode. And you can see it just changes the whole look of the thing. And this takes years of just playing with these guys. Oh, I like that one. Anybody have any preferences so far?
I like that.
Oh, that one I like a lot better. Okay, so let's leave that one. Now that is color burn. Let's put it back to normal and see what it looked like. A little boring. This has guts. We'll probably wind up putting some, in fact, I'll do that right now. I'm going to put some linear accents in it. So we're going to go back to the main thing. I'm going to make it bigger. And I'm going to pick a brush that's just basically a pencil, a dark pencil. So there is there's calligraphic and calligraphy, and I'll pick a water pen. Let's try that. These are there's brush pens, there's all kinds of neat stuff that you can do. Now, pay attention to what your opacity is and your size is. In this case, it's real small, and that's what I want. Because I'm going to put some linear design in here, I think. I have to put a new layer in before I do that, because right now the color burn is going to react with my, and I've erased on this layer. You really have to keep track of what you've erased and what you've not, because you'll notice, I think, if you, on the lower part of the layers, the dark blue one, that's what's really bright right now. And that's because of the way, right now it's on difference, which means that I have no idea what it means, but it means that it lets it through. So right now, color burn is on this layer, and I'm going to make a new layer and write on that.